I'm Andrea Stephen. I teach at the Waterloo Region District School Board at McGregor Public School. I teach grade 7 French immersion.
What did you learn through this learning experience for your students?
I learned the importance of differentiation and the importance of being flexible in what's happening in the classroom and to be okay with a lot of variety happening, that not all students have to be doing the same thing at the same time. The students in my class, they all learn in very different ways and they all have very different interests. And so I learned the importance of connecting with each of those students every day, one-on-one, to talk about their learning and to talk about not just what they had learned, but also the ways that they learned best and how I could best support them in the future, in the next steps of their project. Assessment was such a key aspect to this, and it was often formative, and that continuous contact with the students and offering them the feedback, descriptive feedback, that would best support them as they went along with the project. And I was able to get a really good idea of students' learning skills, the initiative that they were taking, their ability to problem solve, the ability to work independently, since I was often working one-on-one with other students, how able they were to continue independently in their tasks. As for technology, I learned that you don't have to know everything about every piece of technology in order to use it effectively in the classroom. That so often the students are eager to learn, they're eager to problem solve, and there's so many different resources out there that you can contact even within the classroom through Twitter or through an email that the students can put out there, or through YouTube. So you don't have to be the expert of all technology, you just have to be willing to give it a try and put it in the hands of the students and take a bit of a risk, and it usually pays off.
What are the successes for student learning?
I feel like there were a lot of successes in this project. One of the biggest successes was to see students who were more reluctant learners really blossom and really shine in these projects of their choice. One of my students, he discovered coding, and it was just became such a huge passion of his, and so he was always eager to come in and learn more about coding. Another success is the fact that the students became a lot better at reflecting and metacognition, thinking about their own thinking, and knowing that they have control over their own learning and developing steps that would help them to improve in their learning, not always being dependent on their teacher. So that was a huge success in the class for the students. The technology really helped with creative thinking. It provided so many different tools that students could use to really show their thinking and to show their passions. So we had students using iMovie and using Scratch and using websites in a variety of different ways, and that really enhanced their ability to be creative. It also helped students with their collaboration. They were able to collaborate with each other within the classroom, but the technology allowed us to collaborate with experts in the field beyond the classroom. And that really allowed students to see the importance and the relevance of what they were doing. We have one group of students, they're knitting for Syrian refugees, and so part of their learning was enhanced through the technology because we were able to contact some of the groups in our community to see how we could best get the knitting for the Syrian refugees to the people that needed them the most. In the end, we relied on the technology for communicating our final project. So a lot of students chose to use Google Slides in their communication, and that helped them to understand the importance of simplicity and to really think about what images they were using to support their presentation in the end.
Challenges did you or your students encounter, and how did you overcome them?
With a project like this, there were often some challenges. One of the challenges that I encountered was just the fact that there's one of me and there were 25 students in the class, and so meeting each of their individual needs every day, it was tough. But what I just decided to do was to give myself permission to meet for short periods of time with each of those students, to make sure that we connected each day, even if it was for a short period of time, to make sure that I knew where they were and to make sure that they knew that I cared and that I was supporting them in their learning. Another challenge that we had was the the resources in our classroom. We are fortunate to have a number of different mobile devices, but sometimes it wasn't enough. And so we'd have to beg and borrow from other classes. And when that didn't work, we just had students bring in their own devices whenever they were able to. And often we were able to overcome that challenge, the challenge of technology in that way. And sometimes we would just switch what we were doing. So when there wasn't a piece of technology available, instead of blogging, we might just write down our ideas on paper to prepare for the blog. So there were always lots of solutions, and the students often had really good ideas on how to overcome these challenges as well.
What professional learning networks, communities, or professional learning do you participate?
We're really fortunate in our school board because there are lots of different opportunities. One of the best opportunities I think that I've had is through our CATC camp, Computers Across the Curriculum camp, where in August a group of teachers get together and we just learn about technology and how it can support our teaching. And that really opened me up to a lot of possibilities, and it really helped me understand the importance of not needing to know everything, but just giving it a try and taking some risks in my teaching. I'm also heavily involved in Twitter, and I follow a lot of different educators on Twitter, and I learn a lot about what they're trying in their classrooms through that. I participate in a variety of different professional learning activities at the school board level through French as a second language, and also this year doing the e-portfolio workshops. And I worked extensively with a digital literacy support teacher, and she often came into the classroom to help support the students as well.
What might you change in the future and why?
Something I might try in the future when I do Genius Hour again is maybe shortening the length of the project and having students focus on one activity for a shorter period of time and then maybe starting it again with something new. Another thing I think I would do is focus more on the proposals that the students had created in the beginning of the project, because I think it was important for them to continuously come back to those, and sometimes we forgot that we had created them and the importance of that initial planning. Something that we tried a couple of times that I'd like to do more often is we did knowledge building circles or sharing circles where we got together and we talked about what we were doing in our projects and what we were learning, and that was a great way for the students to share ideas or share strategies that might help them overcome some challenges. And so I'd like to do a little bit more of that in the future.
What new technologies might you recommend or try, and why?
I would definitely recommend trying Scratch. It's a really neat tool for coding for students who are just beginning, even for adults who are just beginning. It's a lot of fun, and it allows them to see the importance of sequence, which will help them lead into some other tools, such as one of the students in our class who used Code Academy to learn how to code in HTML. Another tool that I would like to really try, and actually we're trying right now in the classroom, is the green screen, and using a green screen app to create virtual tours to a French location. And that's been really great. It's tied in nicely to the curriculum in terms of culture and also oral communication. There are so many different tools that I would recommend that people try. Some are iMovie, or just any of the apps that you can get on the iPad, Explain Everything, or Weebly or Google Sites, trying out different website tools. I think that there's a lot of advantages to just trying new things.
Describe your journey to teaching with technology, and was there a time you struggled with teaching with technology, and why do you continue? And
I think it's kind of funny when people call me a tech geek, because that's not at all how I started out. When I started teaching, I was afraid of using technology. I didn't really want to use computers. We rarely went to the labs. I didn't bring it into my classroom very often, and I knew that it was important, so I started going to board professional development activities, and the main one was a CATC camp, was an ed camp for the Waterloo Region District School Board, and that really got me started about 8 years ago. And after that, I started slowly implementing some tools one at a time in the classroom, and it was when I saw the engagement, in the student engagement and their interest in the activities that we were doing, when the tools were used properly and appropriately for the circumstance, I realized that it was really a great thing for me to learn more about. So gradually, I've participated in a variety of different learning opportunities, and I've also connected with a lot of teachers that I know are really adept at using technology effectively in their classroom.